You might be surprised how well this thing works. A common misconception about the SP404 sequencer is that it sucks. While that might be true in some cases, I actually find it pretty useful, so let's get into it. Actually, before we do that, let's set some, let's clear the air a little bit. The SX and the OG404, the non-SX version, if you will, main difference is the SX is a lot better in a lot of different ways because it uses an SD card, right, where the OG uses a compact flash, and the compact flash is way slower than the SD card. So doing little things like copying, pasting, erasing, chopping and sampling and stuff is so much faster on this, and even though it might be just a couple seconds here and there, it actually adds up real quick because on something like this you do a lot of it. And the SX can do everything that the A can, and the A can do everything that the SX can. The A and the SX, the main difference, paint job and some default MIDI configurations, but it doesn't really improve the 404 in any way. All right, with that out of the way, let's focus in on this one, the SP404SX and its sequencer. Cool, let's head to the desk. All right, here's a little something I made earlier. These are just basically little patterns within the SP, right? So there's one pattern, you can see it's 2 bars, then I have the bass line. And then essentially just like a breakdown, if you will, of no kick and the bass line. And then a variation, right? Just to kind of change it up, little back to the bassline part. All right, cool. So I'm gonna hit cancel to pattern stop. The sequencer on here is a little weird, but once you kind of get used to it, it makes a ton of sense, and it's actually really, really simple. In some cases, it does surpass a lot of sequencers of today. For example, if we go to like a new bank, right, we have 10 banks of 12 patterns each. How long is one pattern? Well, I'll show you. If I hit record, I want to start here. Turn that metronome down for now. If I go to length, it can be anywhere from 1 bar up to 99 bars, one pattern, right? And then multiply that by a cajillion or whatever number I just said. So in the case of this, I'll just do a 2-bar pattern. Does it have quantization? Yep, sure does. And it also has no quantization, which is really cool. I want to say it's 96 ppqn. That's just me guessing, nothing, 100% solidified. But I like using the S16, which is shuffle or swing. And to control the amount of swing, you basically use control knob 2. So 50 is nothing, and then you have negative and then positive from 0 to 100. I'm usually in the 60, 62 range. I'm not really sure what the percentage is. It's completely different from MPC, because when on an MPC, if you get to like 70, it's so swung. Yeah, that's really it. You set your length, you set your quantize, you set the metronome level. We'll do super quiet, and then just hit record, and then you got your count in, done. So I'm gonna hit record again during rehearsal mode, REH, and find the samples I want, right? So then right, simple. Hear a little swing on there. And to stop it, you just hit cancel. Some people don't realize this is what the sub pad is for. That's basically another pad based on the last thing you hit. So if I hit this and I want to hit it fast, I can just use the sub pad to help me kind of create rhythm so I don't have to focus on just hitting one pad. So if I hit the snare, it's just whatever the last pad was that you hit. All right, back to that pattern. Cool, cancel, record, because I want to edit it. It doesn't flash, which is confusing to me, but you just hit it, and then it'll bring this back to where you can kind of change the settings and whatnot. Go to record, and I want to erase that kick drum because I kind of went in a little too hard on it. So pressing delete, it'll say erase, R-E-S, or E-R-S, and you just hold down what pad you want to erase. So if I wanted to erase some of the hi-hats, so watch. Cool. and then hit delete again. We're still in record mode, and just do a classic 4 on the floor. That first one's off, you hear that, yeah. So watch, this is where it gets kind of annoying. Erase. And see if I can land it. Because sometimes where it gets, there we go, cool. Where it gets kind of weird is when the sample has a gate on there and then it kind of chokes the next sample. It's a little frustrating, but you'll get used to it. Cool, so we have the beginning pattern, right, which is this one here. Cancel to stop. Function, copy. I'm going to copy that pattern to here. Hit record to do that. Now we have 2 versions. Right, so again, record here. And at this point, I can turn off the metronome level. I don't need it. Hit record to go into rehearsal mode. Find another bank of sounds. So I guess I didn't make this clear. As soon as you hit cancel to stop the pattern, it will show you the pattern page. But as soon as you hit record and go into the pattern that you want to edit, in this case 2, it's going to turn the pads not into the pattern view, but into the samples view of your original banks on the SD card. So I can go. So this is what I made earlier. Oh my God. So I had record on, hit erase. I can erase all 3 of these at the same time. Oh, I also hit 1. Cool. And should be erased. Delete, rehearsal. Actually, I know what I want to play, so it's going to be this to this. Let's see. Cool. Cancel. Copy this pattern onto here. And we'll edit this one. Done. Erase. I want to erase the kick, which is... pretty sure it's this one here. Yeah, there it is. Done. Cancel, and then copy this pattern to here, and I'm going to add the bass line. So these samples I've already chopped up and done. I didn't want to put you through all that because that takes a little bit of time to do it on here, or you can do it in, I don't know, Serato sample, and then import them onto here, which is also another benefit of this is you can use software to just basically directly put the samples onto the pads. So now we got this one here, record, and I'm pretty sure there's a way to turn off the count in, is there? But whatever, it doesn't bug me that much. Go here. Oh, rehearsal. All right, that'll work. That'll work, and then just play a completely different pattern, but it still works. Simple. Cancel that, and that's that pattern. So I'm going to make another version of that without the kick drum, and I believe... Cool, so that one doesn't have the kick drum. In my head, I'm going to use all the non-kick drums here on this column, I guess you can say. So copy there, and record this, edit, let it count in, delete, take my kick drum out. This is really it. Done deal. Super simple, right? If you really want, what's cool is you can say, let's like play this pattern. If I hit pattern select while it's playing the pattern, I can go and look at the samples and then edit them. So let's say the kick, or maybe this hi-hat, right? I want a little bit of reverb on this hi-hat. So I'm gonna have to resample it somewhere. Let's say resample here. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's take this and I'm gonna give it a little bit of reverb. Ooh, I said a little, buddy. Cool, resample that. Let's delete whatever's here. Resample onto here. Done. So that sequence is always going to pull from I4 in that sample spot, right? So what I need to do now is I have the reverb version here and then the flat one here. So I need to exchange these two together. So hitting exchange, selecting the two that I want to flip-flop, hit record. So now that's there. if I play that pattern back, you can hear how insanely awful it sounds. Turn the gate on. Cool. Terrible idea, Enrique. So we'll stop that, and I'll go back and basically flip-flop those again. So that was just way too much reverb. It didn't work out the way I wanted it to sound. But that's essentially how you would end up doing something. The other cool thing is if we go and play this pattern back. Hold up. What just happened? Oh, let's turn on gate mode. This I'm just going to get rid of. Pattern. Oh! Oh, I think that's just the sound of the sample that I have going on over here. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's totally just the sample. You can hear it there. So this brings on another thing, is I can actually go, and once I got the pattern playing, I can select an effect onto everything. But where resampling falls and the sequencer falls apart on this thing for me is that you can't resample the sequence. And in terms, there's also no song mode, so you have to manually trigger each pattern, which is fine because one pattern can be this really long thing if you really wanted. But you have to trigger everything manually, and then on top of that, you can't resample the pattern to then just put basically an entire pattern onto one pad and then use a pattern to play that. But what also sucks is if I want to resample the whole song with an effect on it, I can't do that. This is where you would need a second SP404, which I'm not opposed to, but at that point you're like, why don't I just get an Octatrack? Because you get two of these for $600. You can get a Digitact or the Octatrack Mark I at that price. But I mean, it's still super unique to the way it is and to its workflow. So applying an effect to everything. We'll play this pattern. Go to pattern select, hit remain, and just select a sample. So that's going to apply it to everything. But then I can select something new. Get it super crunchy. So the other option here is to just record this into like Ableton or into a DAW or into an H4n or something, and then resample the whole track back and apply your effects there if you want, but it's really up to you. Anyway, I really like the sequencer on this thing. Another thing that gets kind of annoying about it is, for example, if I wanted to make that longer, or let's for example, here, this will be perfect. I'm going to copy this first pattern onto 5. So it's just this 2-bar pattern. I went to record and hit length of this one and hit length and changed it to 4 bars. You hear the count in. 2, 2, 3, 4, 3. Nothing is here. 4. Why didn't my pattern copy? So you can't copy the first part onto the second part. So if you want to like now make a new part, you just have to go back in and redo it. Which is not bad. It helps you think outside the box. Come up with new rhythms. Probably sounds crazy. So now we got 4 bars here. We'll go here and missed it. Oh right, I'm in rehearsal mode. 4, 2, 3, 4. So cool. This cancel that. We can play this pattern. And we know that this sample's hella loud, so I'm going to just turn it down. Maybe 100. Yeah, there we go. That works. But again, it's like this weird kind of wonkiness to it. Is it time stretched? Cool. Remain. Oh, man, this thing gets dirty. Alright, let me slap on my secret. Cool. I mean, that's really it. That's what it comes down to, is just, messing around with this thing, figuring out the sequencer. It's honestly not that bad. No, it can't sequence anything else. It only has MIDI in. No, you can't really copy bars and have them do a bunch of things that you would normally expect it to. But it can definitely and easily play the samples within it, and the way the workflow of the 404 presents itself is super unique to me. I can't think of another sampler or weird sequencer thing out there that have, really put recording and resampling at the face as one of the main things of what you should do with this device, right? Like, where else is there a resample button directly on the unit besides another type of 404? And with that, where else is there another kind of thing where you got 10 banks with 12 pads, right? It's not 16 and it's not 4 banks and all this. Like, there's just weird ways to think of how you make music and resampling, and this is always taking from that. So you got to put a new sample there to try out weird things, or copy paste samples around and chop them up in weird, unique ways. It just comes up with so many random, really cool, happy accidents. But yeah, I just, I see the sequencer get a lot of hate on this thing, and it's honestly not that bad. So let me know what you think. Anyway, you know the drill. Share the love, share the knowledge. Knowledge is power. Peace.